All right, well, welcome all. Tonight we are definitely midsummer, so I wanted to discuss a variety of challenges that may be occurring. In particular, my own experience of overdoing it and then some of the consequences that happen. So I've been sharing with y'all about the tendency to overextend. All right, so we are in a period of energetic where you have, right? So we've peaked, and now we're sort of coming down off the most expressed yang from the center out, which is the summer solstice, right? June 21st-ish. But we're still in this, a lot of us tend to ride the wave and keep going, right? So you have this trajectory of the expansive quality of, from the inside, if this is our core, the energy is moving from the core of the earth out, and then we also have lots of sun in the northern hemisphere. So we have all this yang force energy, which is supporting us to exude more energy. So on July 4th, we threw a party. It was fun. The next day, I was playing with a bunch of kids, and I overextended to catch this ball and stepped into a hole. And my low back just seized, and so I wanted to talk about why certain things like that happen, just as an overall pattern, which is a very standard pattern. We get overtired, we over exude ourselves, and then in a day where we probably shouldn't be extending, and I think it's kind of befitting of, like, I was reaching for a pass and jumped up for it and then landed in a hole, and my midsection went to go catch my body and basically low back tweak, which lasts anywhere from a week to 4 weeks depending on how well you understand what's going on. So the mechanics, though, of that, and how when we get tired or when we tend to overextend, the core of the body gets depleted, and then we have a tendency to tweak or damage the structure. So if you're thinking about the anatomy of the body from an energetic standpoint, right? So I hope at this point, many of us understand we have, bones and muscles and tendons and such. The beauty of Qi Gong and Eastern awareness of anatomy has more to do with the energetic lines, which also map to the fascial, the main fascial lines. And if you want to dive into this more, I highly recommend a book called Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. Really great guy who's just done great work. But more and more fascial research is happening of just the structure of the body and how it's held together by what was initially invisible, but very much it's visible. As soon as you do a dissection, you basically have layers and layers of this filmy tissue that wraps all the muscles. But what we've understood now, it actually interpenetrates everything to the cellular level. Okay? So one way to understand the meridians or the energy channels is these pathways of connection through the fascial system. Okay. One of the longest, arguably the longest channel in the body is the posterior chain, or the urinary bladder. And it basically connects from the inside portion of the eyes up around the head, down the back of the neck. Actually, I have my little meridian man here. So it's the green line there. And it goes all the way around and down the back body, through the hamstrings, through the calves, and then goes out the pinky toe of the body. All right. So that's a really important channel to understand when you have back pain, because it is all along the spine, and it basically mirrors the nervous system, the main thick branches of the spinal cord, and then down, mostly it's sciatic nerve, right? And then the corresponding channel to that is the red here, which is the small intestine channel, and it mirrors similar to the leg out the arm. But we're focusing on low back, legs. Okay, so that's one. So doing a forward fold, you're going to get length, right? If I could fold this guy in half, you're going to lengthen along this posterior chain. All right, so if this is the foot, knee, hip, right, and you've got the upper body here, when this folds down, you're taking this line and lengthening it across, right? So that's one way to get stretch, right? So you have, in my case, I'll just use myself as an example. I tweak the back, one side of this low back, spasmed, shortened to protect. And one way to start to think about releasing the tension or the pain in that area is to lengthen along that chain. Great. Very simple way to think about it. The other way to think about it, which is important, is the balancing side. So the yin side, which runs on the inside portion of the leg. If we can see here, this blue line here and the red line, they both come up this inside portion of the leg. The blue line is a little farther back, right? But both of those, all those lines come up the inside portion of the leg, and they actually connect into the abdomen on the front side of the body. So you got this action happening as well, right? So the function of the lengthening of the posterior chain is directly associated with the capacity of the anterior or front side of the body's ability to shorten. So when I flex my hand and lengthen the outside, I have to shorten the inside. Very simple. However, many of us have difficulty shortening the front side of the body. So what that ends up doing, instead of this organizing well, I'll answer that question in a second, Lindsay. Instead of them shortening well, right, one side shortening and the other side lengthening, if it's like as if something's in the way. If the front side can't shorten properly and you go to lean down, more pressure goes on the posterior chain. And that's how a lot of us are operating. If the inner line isn't strong enough, the outer line is what's taking the majority of the force. And the reason I'm sharing all this, when you exhaust yourself, which is what I did, right? I stayed up later, I was drinking alcohol, I was having fun, right? I decreased the energy of my system the next day, and I was tired, and I went out and played. When that happens, in particular, the yin channels get weaker and are not holding their position as well. So when it comes to balancing the structure, both the outer line and the inner line, no matter where it is, if it's bent over or straight up, if the inner line isn't as taut, isn't as strong, you're going to have an imbalance from the get-go when you go to be physical, right? And in that moment, for me, I'm overarching and overstretching all that tension now. All that stress when I go to catch myself is now completely on the blue line or the yang line, and I don't have the yin line support. That is often how low back pain and like that feeling of throwing your back out actually occurs. It has to do with the yin lines, the adductors, the inner portions of the legs, not actually supporting and uplifting the structure of the body. So it's all yarding on the posterior chain. And when that happens, the likelihood of tweaking the back or the neck or the hamstring or the calf, anything along that channel increases dramatically. And most of my experience of dealing with injuries, sport-related anything, but oftentimes stepping or misstepping, the general public clinically has to do with being able to ask, were you tired? What else was going on? Were you paying attention? And it usually has to do with some form of fatigue that led up to the lack of presence and energy when the moment of injury happened. And you can easily explain it due to the lack of integration of these lines. All right. So hopefully that helps explain why that would happen. Now, how do we fix it? Okay. The tendency for most people to fix things, when you jack something like your back, right? You create a knot in your neck, a knot in your back. One of the first things to do, we all just push right on the area that has tension. Man, it feels good. However, it doesn't create a more lasting, integrative healing process. It generally relieves point-specific pain, which is useful. However, if you're looking to get back into the game of life, you're going to want to do a more integrative style of therapy. All right. So for me, in this instance, low back pain, I'm going to look to above and below. Most low back pain, if you want to relieve the channel, you want to be going down the body. The yang channels move from the core out to the limbs. So if you have a neck pain, you want to work down the arm out through the fingers. And if you have back pain, low back pain in particular, you want to work down the hamstring, down the calf. All right. So this tension here, we're actually looking to support moving it out the system. All right. And then as you move it down, you can also then encourage the movement up the inside or the yin channels. So the yin channels in general move from the distal or the hand or the foot, from the foot or the hand to the center. And the yang channels move from the core out right? So if you have an injury, we tend to want to move the yang channels out and the yin channels back in, which will help create the proper flow across to increase the energetic integrity of the structure. Okay? There's so much more to this, but this is the basics. All right? So tension here, we want to start increasing the movement. A simple way to do that is just massage from the gluteals down through the hamstrings, calves, and out the body. Okay? You can do that with your hands. I highly recommend, though, doing it with your feet. Ashiatsu, which is a foot technique. It's a lot easier. The legs are very dense, and we'll get into more of that type of technique another time, but just a way of explaining. We want to work that down. And then the yin channels tend to be more gentle. They can't handle quite as much pressure, like the inside of your arm or the inside of your legs generally can't handle as heavy pressure. But we want to work that up. So that is some of the basics. The other channel that is really crucial in back pain has to do with the front side of the body as well, which is the stomach channel, which is this yellow channel here. All right, the quad, the lateral quad, and then it actually drops inside and it connects in with the psoas, and that runs down the shin anterior tibialis. So oftentimes the psoas, the hip flexor, and the quad has a huge function in low back pain as well. And you can work that line as well downwards. So with regard to the structure of, you've got the posterior chain that's working down the back body, which is urinary bladder. Then you move to the middle, you have the gallbladder, and then the stomach channel is in the front. So these channels want to be moving down. So massaging, working down. And then the inside portion of the leg, we want to be working up and in to help create down the outside, up the inside. And we do that at the end of practice, just on an energetic level. So anyway, just some of the beginnings and basics, more and more of the anatomy and how we can support not getting injured, as well as the therapy and therapeutics around when you do get injured. But the low back is, I think, at this point, the number one injury for most humans, particularly Americans. And we will get into that as well. It has a lot to do with the fact that we're sedentary and sit a lot and shorten the psoas. So if you have questions, hold off. I'll answer more of those questions. It's a fairly deep thing, but I wanted to just get into some of the basic mechanics of that. And our movements today, we will be reinforcing these principles of moving down the yang, opening the posterior chain by lifting up and moving this energy up into the dantian, right? So we're pulling ourselves into a fold rather than just leaning over and having all the pressure be on the posterior line. All right. And then I'll say one more thing, because we're going to move into some breath work here as well. Generally, this midsection of the body is governed by what's called the daimai, which is a ring around this area. When we drink beer and alcohol, beer in particular, fermented alcohol, sometimes we loosen that area due to inflammation, which can decrease the amount of structural integrity in that area, which creates kind of a corset or a holding in that midsection. So along with being tired, if we're drinking alcohol, particularly beer, wine, any fermented alcohol in particular, we're also loosening through inflammation and opening this wider. And as you open that wider, there's more play between that area and it's less stable, right? When you loosen the stability of this midsection, you're going to cause a lot more opportunity for tweaks and a variety of things that allow for spasms, misfirings, miscommunication between the structure, the muscle groups, the tendons, the ligaments, which will cause all kinds of pain for you there. All right, so one of the best ways, if you've got, and I think probably everybody's experienced some kind of back pain at this point. If you're over 20 or 25, I think at some point you've probably done some damage to your low back. One of the best ways to pull yourself together is through breath and through exhalation. So switching gears, let's find a good spot to sit. Tuck your chin, lengthen up your spine. Maybe rock your pelvis back and forth so you feel your sit bones. Close your eyes, and on an exhale, just releasing your breath. Let everything be real soft. As you inhale, soft belly expands. Keep inhaling. The chest will expand. Hold the breath at the top. And very important, as you exhale now, feel the navel draw in towards the spine and keep exhaling, keep exhaling. Feel that daimai or belt channel pulling in as you exhale more. Keep exhaling. Maybe the pelvic floor is engaging, and then hold the breath out. Keep holding, feel some uncomfort there. Then slow breath in. Expanding that navel center area first, and then filling more in the lungs and the chest, all the way up into the throat. Hold the breath at the top. And then strong exhale. See if you can cinch that navel in a little tighter towards the spine. Ratchet that belt channel a little tighter and hold. Keep holding. Then slow breath in. Expand through that midsection, then into the lungs, ribs, throat. Hold at the top. Keep holding. So on this next breath, we're going to fully exhale and hold, and then keep the belt tightened in and breathe into a tight belt. So here we go. Exhale fully. Keep exhaling, keep exhaling, keep exhaling. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hold. Now keep holding. And when you breathe in this time, keep the belt held tight. The back body can open, but let your belly not expand forward. So as you breathe in, feel the back body expand a little bit. Maybe it's a little harder to get the breath in there, which is good. And we exhale again, cinch it in. So part of what we're doing with this reverse breathing, holding the front body, the yin channels in, strengthening. And as we breathe in, which we can do slowly, see if you can expand backwards, opening the posterior chain, opening the space of the low back, the kidneys, the low ribs. Maybe even feeling the rib cage open away from the spine. Exhaling again. See if you can cinch in a little tighter. So we're working to activate the yin portion or soft portion of the midsection of the body. Can you cinch it in deeper? Feel the pelvic floor like a Qi Gong. Without over pressing, just keep exhaling. You don't have to work too hard to get it to contract. Just intend the exhale more and more and more. Hold. Keep that cinched in on the front, and as you inhale, expand the back body. Hold at the top and exhale again. We'll do about 3 more. Really trying to get this concept of the reverse breath or girdling. Cinch it in. You can always exhale more. And as you inhale, keep the yin aspects pulled in and work to expand into the tight yang aspects of the body. On your own, exhaling fully, cinch it in. See if you can ratchet the tension more and more. You can spiral in, hold there, and then breathe into that. Expand backwards. Good. All right, gently opening your eyes. Maintain your awareness of your breath. I'm going to add in a little bit more theory here. So, as we exhale, you can think about what's happening is twisting the fabric or the fascia of the body starts to pull in the front side of the body. And what it does is it actually pulls the bones together. So when that happens, extend up through. All right, so that's one. You can also extend through the arms. All right. So for many of us, when the belly is weak, this is relaxed and we lose all this integrity in the body. But if we get strong through here, the dantian, right, we actually hug the soft tissue to help create good structural integrity. So that's one portion. The other part has to do with our hands. So if I hold on to this fabric here, this is tugging away from the center. But if I can do both, right, I can create structural integrity through the system just from paying attention to those positions, right? If I release here, watch what happens. That whole thing softens up, all right? So part of what we're doing with Qi Gong is first just paying more attention to the anatomy of the body. Two, utilizing these different intentional contractions to be able to actually pull ourselves into greater what's called biotensegrity, meaning the fascial structure is pulling into itself and we're extending into it or away from the center. That creates spaciousness and balance across joints, all right? That's reducing this very mystical way of thinking about these things into a much more scientific way of understanding. When you do that, the spaciousness of the body, the inner spaciousness opens, which then allows for greater nerve conduction, blood flow, and you've got lymph flow that's happening, right? If I'm compacted into myself, all those things, we get more stagnations. If we get more spacious, all the flow of the nervous system, which we would call energy flow, you get blood flow, right? Fluid or chemical flow, and fluid flow happening also with the lymphatic system, which is the first thing that cuts off. And then the fourth thing I would say is the conduction of vibration that happens through the fascia, which is sort of your higher sensing capacity. All right. So standing together, I wore this shirt today on purpose just to help explain. When we're doing these exercises, the ability to draw in and exhale creates a nice tension point in the core of the body. And then we want to lift up and tuck the chin. As we do that, we press up into the toes and pull the heels together, which is going to engage the inner lines or the yin channels of the structure. Ideally, we can feel a sense of connection between those inner lines and the belly or the inner belly, the pelvic floor, and this area pulling in. So we're going to breathe in. You can expand nice and big, then exhale. Cinch that in. And as you cinch it in, you may feel how it pulls the fascia or the shirt forward. And from here, take the chin and pull it back. But keep the sense of drawing in. Good. And then as we inhale again, keep this drawn in. Shrug the shoulders up. Pinch them back, squeeze the fingers together, exhale. And you're going to connect your armpits, this fascia here, down. So we're pulling the shirt down. As we do, tuck the chin and lengthen up through the head. Good, squeeze the legs together. Then pull the hand in, but extend the fingers out. Right, so you kind of create this little V shape in the hands. Good. All right. On your inhale, you're going to lift the arms up with a slight bend in the elbow, like you're lifting a really heavy, sacred sword. Good. And then pull the hands in. Keep inhaling. Shoulders stay down, elbows come back, then open hands and press down. As you press down, tuck chin, lengthen spine. Squeeze legs together. Scoop, lift, inhale. Tongue on the roof of the mouth. Exhale, press. Inhale. Exhale, press. By the time you fully exhale, navel should be tucked in tight to the spine and keep it there. Breathe into the back body, open back body. Exhale, press. 2 more. Squeeze all your air out, press the hands down, lift through the crown of the head, navel to spine. Keep that pressure as you make a fist with your left hand, sword hand with your right. Extend. Inhale. Hands come up. Fist at third eye. Squeeze your elbows in. Cinch in. So all this is pulling in. Good. Hold here. Squeeze your legs together. The yin channels, the inner portions are pulling in. Good. Squeeze. Inhale. Exhale. Bow the head. Lengthen posterior chain. Inhale. Head comes up again. Exhale. Release everything away from the bone. Sink all your weight into your right leg. Lift up left foot, nice and light. All right, so I'm up. You can hold it. Good, and then just step that out to the side. And then shift your weight. Good, and shift your weight side to side. So everything's open and relaxed now. We're going to come forward, right, back, left. Circle. As you do that, open and spread the bones and toes. Exhale, use a ha or sighing sound. Just release down. Good. And then from there, begin to squeeze and play around with pulling the heels together as you're moving around. Right, so many of us use the exterior portion or the yang channels to hold ourselves up. But can we pull ourselves up? So begin to squeeze, which will create a sense of uplift in the body. Good. As you squeeze harder, it'll slow down the circling. Good, and then tuck the chin and see if you can feel that sense of squeezing and corkscrewing the heels together. The inner lines pull, and there's a sense of uplift. Good, and then relax and feel how you kind of fall down. Squeeze the heels together, lift up, hold, and then release and feel how you sort of flop down. So the most of us are in this constant state of flopping and letting gravity take over. As we get older, we get less elastic and we have to work harder to hold ourselves up. Good, squeeze and hold up. Good, and then from here, it's a combination of both squeezing and relaxing to get the jiggling up and down. Use the breath as you exhale. Soften and release. Try to relax the inner body. The ha tone is really great to help relax the chest, the lungs, and the heart in particular. And the ooh, O and U sound helps release the belly and the intestines and the bowels. So you can do a if you want to play around with tone. But really, we're just looking to take our attention inward and see if we can relax the inner structure of the body. Good. Speed it up a little bit more. Good. Hands come above the head. We're going to shake the hands, relax the face, and then let a wave go from top to bottom. If you're good, you can get it to go from top to bottom and then back up, bottom to top. Relax the face. Good. And shake it out 10 more seconds. Speed it up a little bit more. Use the breath, maybe growl it out a few more sounds. Good, and stop. Attention goes inward. Feel the inner vibration. Good, and then rounding the arms as if you're holding a big beach ball. From your middle finger, squeeze into the ball. Squeeze there, and then squeeze your palm, then squeeze your arm. So we're squeezing. Feel that sense of squeeze. As you squeeze, the back body opens a little bit, and then tuck your chin and lengthen the spine and drop the tailbone. And then relax the squeeze and breathe into the space between your arms and your body. As you do, it should expand. And as you exhale, it condenses. Inhale into the belly. Expand into the big balloon. Expanding from the inside out. Full body breathing. As we exhale, it condenses back or draws back in. Inhaling, expand. Tongue on the roof of the mouth. Feel that inner spaciousness. And as we exhale, we're pulling back in from the center. Eyes closed. Keep your attention inward. You can visualize golden light expanding on your inhale from the navel center out like the sun. As you exhale, associate more to the core, like a red ember, the core of the earth, magma. Expansive light on your inhale, and dark crimson flame on your exhale. Good. On your next inhale, open hands out to the side. Reach through your fingertips and turn your thumbs back so the palms are facing up, and reach out through the middle finger. Tuck the chin in, the chest opens. As you exhale, draw the chest in. Tuck the chin, reach. Keep rotating the hands back. Feel the stretch, the achy stretch. Good. From here, curl the middle finger in to the palm, and then the rest of the fingers wrap on top of that. And keep extending tuck the chin. And then from there, if you can, flex the fist coming forward even more. Push through the wrist out. Oh, good. And then from here, on your inhale, you're going to open more. And on your exhale, curl from the wrist in, wrist, elbows, and round. Tuck your tailbone, drop your head, open your back. Just hang out here for a sec. On your next inhale, you're going to open hands, press the palms down, reach and extend. You can press up onto your balls of your feet, lift the heels up, open eyes, ears, mouth, nose, extend towards the sky. And then on your exhale, curl back, fist, grounding. Let yourself be really curled in. Inhale. Engage from the heels. Squeeze the heels, unravel up towards the sky. Reach fingers down as you extend sternum and throat and eyes up to the sky. Exhale. Pull yourself together. See if you can engage the pulling action. Don't just fall forward. Good. Then inhale. Fingers lengthen, extend. Keep the rib cage pulled in so we're not breaking at the mid back or low back. Reach and exhale. Inhale. Strong here. Really reach. Engage. Good. And then exhale. Now light. Soften. You can just let the hands be soft. As you inhale, soft, gentle, energetically intense, physically relaxed. We can go back and forth a few more times. See if you can coordinate that inner or yin pulling in and the yang extending. So they're both working. It's not one or the other. As you fold forward on your exhale, there's an internal rotation. As you inhale and extend the spine, there's an external rotation of both the hips and the shoulders. As you get to the top too, you can open your eyes, your mouth, your nostrils, your ears too. As you exhale, things close in or condense in. Good. A few more times. Maybe slow it down even more. Integrate that movement even more. Noticing coordination of the breath and the movement. Good. And on your next inhale, keep inhaling and allow the hands to float up. Bend at the elbows and interlace behind your head. Now from here, open the elbows as wide as you can. Hands are going to press into the back of your head and tuck your chin a little bit more. Lengthen the back of the neck and pull your rib cage in. Squeeze the legs together and feel a sense of uplift, like you're pulling your head up. Good. As you exhale, tuck the chin and draw from your elbows to your navel. Pull yourself into position and resist with the head. Then as you inhale, lift from your feet connected to your head, lift. posterior chain engaging, full opening. Then keep resisting through your posterior chain as you exhale. Pull yourself forward, but resist against yourself. Not so much that you lock out. Allow it to move. But the movements were resisting, both yin and yang channels working here. Sweating like crazy, which is a good thing, right? We're working against ourselves or with ourselves, however you want to look at it. Few more repetitions. We're really working to integrate the contraction of the posterior and the anterior chains of the body here, or the yin channels and the yang channels. Good. All right, when you get up to the top, full breath in. And we're going to go faster and a little softer now. So squeeze, more breath work. Inhale, open. Inhale, hold. Now, press the palms out. Keep holding the breath. Be mindful here. It's easy to get lightheaded. And then exhale. Arms release. Back to Wuji, or opening stance. Tuck the chin, close the eyes, drop the tail, lengthen spine. Breathe from the inside out. Good. All right, releasing the arms down, just circling. Any tension through the neck, we'll drop the head to one side. Just circling out. Let the exhale, like from the ear down through the neck, out through the ring finger. Good, both sides. Good, shake it out. Just allow the pelvis to move. So we're rotating the pelvis and the arms are just totally relaxed. As we move like this, we want the spine to stay like a pillar. We're just rotating around that pillar. Arms totally relaxed. Good. And then as you increase the hip speed, the arms move farther away from the body. And the force is throwing the blood and the fluids into the hands. Good. Now slow that down. And then just walk the feet out a little bit more. Good. From here, bend the knees a little bit. Bring the hands to the inside portions. We're just going to tap a little bit on the yin portion of the body. All right. Good. And then engage and pull the heels together and feel these adductors or yin channel, kidney, liver, spleen engaged. All right. And then pull yourself from side to side. Now switching the hands to the outside portion, tap the outside or slap the outside portion. You can go down the leg too. You can slap the outside a lot harder. Right? Wake that up and then push yourself from side to side. Feel the glutes, the haunches. Good. All right, now pull and push. As you pull and push, you'll start to create a spiral through the legs, and the legs should begin to make a figure eight. All right, from there, if you're feeling comfortable and the knees and the ankles like it, you can lower down a little bit more. You can bring your arms to your knees if you like, or you can hold above if you're feeling stronger. But go deep down and then come up high. And you can sink into a side more. But keep pulling your legs together, most important. Good, then let's bring the elbows on inside of the knees. Press the knees out and pull the knees in. You should feel it on your groin. And then keep that pattern going of pulling and pushing to create circling of the knees. If you can from here, see if you can get the butt below the knees. You may have to walk your feet in a little bit more. And then you can kind of pulse up and down to open through those legs a little bit. Good, then from here, walk the feet out, squeeze the heels together, and then press the butt towards the sky. You don't have to straighten the legs all the way. The hands can release to the floor, but a slight bend and then pulse up and down just to get pulling the feet together. We want those inner lines working. And then from there, walk the feet, inch the feet together, and notice your forward fold might be better than usual with a slight bend in the knees. Then you can straighten up into it. After you've activated those yin channels, oftentimes we can get into a better forward fold. If you're feeling good and strong, you can grab a hold of your elbows, but keep the legs active here, meaning slight bend in the knees and pull the heels together a bit. You can spread and lift the toes up too to get the arches engaged. See if you can drop the head, release the spine, but the legs are strong. As you exhale, draw the navel up and in. Keep exhaling. Feel the navel draw in, the pelvic floor lift. That yin pulling up and in, which will actually allow you to fold deeper. Feel that sense of inner spiraling or inner squeezing to fold you deeper, which is a supportive aspect. So we're not just leaning and yarding on the posterior chain. Good, then slight bend in the knees as you inhale. Tuck the tailbone under, release the hands, one vertebrae at a time with the head coming up last. And then find yourself in Wu Ji. Holding the ball. Notice the legs are alive. Maybe a bit fatigued, but more energized. Go ahead and squeeze the feet and grab into the ground more. Just rotate the bones of the legs a little bit. And then allow the bones to rotate in as you sit down a little bit. It may feel, you can open up the SI joint. So as I rotate the bones of the femurs in, this back body opens. Drop the tail, and then tuck the tailbone forward and lengthen the front side of the body. Good, and then just find a neutral place. And as I breathe into the belly, hopefully there's a sense of buoyancy or lightness in the stance. Tuck the chin, lengthen spine. Legs are nice and strong, arms should feel nice and light. Come back to the breath. And just allow yourself to rest into these principles. Tongue rests on the roof of the mouth. And let yourself settle. Let the mind settle. Let the heart calm. Let the belly sink and relax. The soft tissue melting down. The bones light. The flesh liquid. Tongue rests on the roof of the mouth. Good. From here, we're going to float the arms up. So breathe into the belly and just expand. As we exhale, connect the palms to the belly. We're going to exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. On your next inhale, keep the arms up and drop the elbows and turn the palms to face backwards. The back of the palms facing forwards. Gently allow the middle finger to come to the palm and then the rest of the fingers collapse in. So a loose fist. From here, as we exhale, let's bring the elbows together and open behind the heart. Drop the tailbone. Turtle spine. As we inhale, open, flex the wrist or extend the wrist back, and the elbows are going to come back and down. So pinch back here. You can open the rib cage up. Feel everything compacting or squeezing toward the lumbosacral fascia right at the base of the spine. Good. Exhale. Drop head, drop tail. Inhale. Exhale. On this one, you can either just come here, or you can cross over too if you want to open through the mid-back more. Inhale. And exhale. Few more. Exhale. Float. Release the hands, Wu Ji. Settle into standing pose. Good. Float again, arms open. Loose fists. Engage the legs now. So squeezing the legs. Good. And then just rotate from the midsection above the navel to one side and then the other side. Just back and forth, but keep the legs engaged and feel how that engagement starts to move up into the core. Try to empty as much as you can. Keep the navel drawn in. If you feel strong, you can increase the speed. But keep the midsection nice and taut, pulled in. Feel the connection to the legs. We're not just flopping around here. Fully integrated, fascially. Exhale more. Good, then slow it down and breathe in big. Extend the outside portions of your hands as wide as you can and breathe into your back body. Drop the shoulders, tuck the chin. And then on your exhale, just float the hands down. As the hands float down, tuck chin, lengthen spine. Maybe drop the tailbone, tuck the tailbone under a little bit more to open through the low back. And then find a neutral spine. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, full exhale all the way. And then keep the front body drawn in as you inhale, expand the back body. Every repetition, see if you can cinch in a little deeper on your exhale and hold that yin contraction as you inhale, expand the back body and the yang channels. Nine more good, slow, steady, full breaths. As you inhale, feel yourself expanding into that urinary bladder channel, back body, posterior chain. As you exhale, from the soles of the feet and the palms, everything's pulling into the navel center. And for your last 3 to 5 breaths, just allow everything to relax or no effort. Allow the tone to be what it is. next exhale, just allowing the hands to rest down by your sides with some space in the armpits. Perhaps coming back to that visualization of expanding golden light from your core out through your skin. As you exhale, like a red ember at the core as it draws and condenses in. Gently opening the eyes. As we inhale for closing sequence, the inhale floats the arms up through the index finger. And as you keep inhaling, drawing back with the middle finger, the pericardium, opening through the mid-chest. As we exhale and press down, ring finger presses down through all the way to the palm, full empty, and then just drop your weight. Inhale. Index finger, lungs, middle finger, keep inhaling, open through. Heart, fire, exhale, twisting, coiling wood, all the way presses in, pulls in to the bone, water, and we drop into the earth. One more. Good, then crossing hands, index finger, lift up, inhale, exhale with a grunt, and gather back. So you're whipping the spine down to like a surface of water. It shoots a wave out, and then we gather it back at the heart. Here we go. Contracting yin. Yang contract, then yin contract. Send it out and gather back. Good. Gather it back and squeeze. So feel the palms squeeze in, the arms squeeze in, the soles of the feet squeeze in. Good. Then connect the palms. Energy between the palms. Down the legs, up the inside. Down the yang, UB, gallbladder, stomach. Switch sides. And come up, spleen, liver, kidney. Good, and arm. Go slow enough where you actually feel something. Both sides. And then the head, throat. You can either release or integrate it in with the body. Good, shake it out. And the feet come together. Nice and tall, some engagement of the legs squeezing together. On your exhale, from the crown of the head, releasing down through the fingers. Like the fingers, liquid, they melt towards the floor. You feel the pooling blood and energy at the tips of the fingers. Focus there as you inhale and float the hands up. And then imagine diving the fingertips down through the core or the vertex of the head, down through the core of the body, and just peeling back like an old snake skin. And it's peeling off as many layers of the ego as you can manage, or the identity. Any bits of yourself that gotta go. Like an old costume, work its way down. Go ahead and kick that forward. Standing up nice and tall, feeling a fresh rawness, maybe a vulnerability as we call down a pillar of light. Feel this golden honey substance pouring down from the sky. It penetrates in through the crown of the head and around the body, both inner and outer nourishment. As it works its way down, breathe that into all the space. Keep the breath nice and full. As it gets towards your feet, it pools, the excess pools at your feet. And when you're ready, just hinging at the waist and the hips, the knees bend, reach into that excess pool of light and gather up a cloak of golden light around you. And allow the palms to rest back at your navel center, palm over palm, and simply resting into the center. Nourishing and resting in the golden light. Great time to set intentions for your day, your week, your month. And releasing the hands down, making a fist with the left hand, sword hand with the right. Bowing with gratitude towards the self for carrying on these old ways of self-care. Thank you very much. I'll stick around for a few questions if we have any.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, first of all, that was so awesome. I'm feeling so good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting when we were doing the forward fold because I've never done that before in Qi Gong, like folding over.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I've done forward folds, it's been in yoga, and it's like that was the first time I've brought awareness to like the yin channels, and that was really, really like just mind blowing. And like a cool insight into how those two channels work and like blend together to create like more structure, I guess.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess I wanted to ask like what I asked in the beginning. I'm just curious, do the meridian lines like mirror the myofascial lines?
Very much so. Very much so. They're just different densities. And the more you study energetic anatomy, like the deeper the flow is, the more, I'd say the less defined it is. As it moves from the bone level or the core level out towards the skin, the more you're going to see superficial myofascial line alignment. It's kind of like a river compared to an ocean. You know, like as you go deeper, the current is less defined in the ocean, but it's still there. Whereas in a river, it's defined more by the banks of the structure, right? So same idea with the body. As you move from the center out, the bone and the soft tissue structure. All right. Great to have you guys. Hope to see you again.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Yeah. I'll say that last point, which Lindsay brought up too, as you guys work on your, anytime you lengthen the exterior body, the more you can think about coiling and pulling up and in the inner structure, the deeper you'll be able to fold into a lengthened position. So it greatly enhances flexibility. The more you can actually contract or flex into the yin structures. So I'll leave you with that. Hope to see you all again. Darren, you got your hand raised, so I'll stick around for a bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Quick clarification. After doing the contraction breath work, you mentioned some of the benefits of that contraction: nerve conduction, lymph flow, blood flow, conduction of the fascial vibration, being equated to higher sense capacity. And then at one point you mentioned the science, maybe like a more scientific description for energy flow. So can you remind me, when you said energy flow, what aspect is that connected to, like, more, scientifically? Was it one of those, or was it something?
Yeah.
That
It's a great question. So the way things move or energy moves through the body is you either have structural, which is vibrational. You have fluid, which tends to be more chemical, right? Those are probably the main ways. We could detail it more, but and then I would say electrical, right? So those are sort of the three main. You have structural or physical, which is more fascial, vibrational. Then you have electrical, which is charge. And then you have chemical, which is fluid, right? And that I think is the order of speed too, right? So the physical or vibrational moves the fastest, and the chemical moves the slowest. So with that said, the fascial structure perceives information faster than the nervous system, which is very fascinating. Hence that sort of sixth sense. You can feel something before you necessarily register it in the brain from a sensation of the skin. It's more of a vibration through the structure. Exactly, a reverberation in the fascia, which is, kind of a webbing system. So vibrational is fastest, then you have electrical, and then you have chemical, all right?
it gets denser is another way to think about it from
Exactly.
outside in.
Exactly, which is a great way to think about it. And so what we're trying to do to maximize efficiency of the flow of vibration, electric, and chemical is to create more spaciousness in the inner structure of the body. How do you create inner spaciousness? Well, tensegrity, right? We have to learn how to draw in and expand in the appropriate balance to get that fullness. I don't know if that answered your question properly, but
And then that of course leads to levitation, right?
That's where we're headed eventually. That's where we're headed. But what I will say is, like, if you think about the people that feel like they're the most light, like a ballerina, Michael Jordan, athletes that are, high jumpers, they have the most refined tensegrity, right? And so as they move, it's like they're floating, Even Michael Jackson, great example of that. The moonwalk is just, or dancers in general, it's just the finest coordination or integration of the physical structure that actually allows them to be more up off the earth, right? And potentially, in theory, this would lead to the ability to float above the actual ground. I don't know I've never seen it done, but I've definitely seen people jump, though, in ways that felt like, how are they staying up in the air so long?
Yeah, I think Thomas Myers, you mentioned, contrast that to the continuous compression structure model that we kind of learned of stacking bone on bone and levers only.
Right. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, we will continue. I think this is one of the main topics for our discussion group too, is just as we master the physical space, both emotional, mental, and spiritual energies all become lighter, which is very profound, right? Because as the density of spiritual and mental and emotional energies get heavier, the load on the physical structure increases as well, which tends to then bag out or blow out the tensegrity of the structure, which then then has us feel heavier, and we process those energies slower. Yep.
I'm not sure they'll hear me well.
Recording.
All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. So Jack was explaining how as we did this one exercise, he was aware of the outer electromagnetic field, which he's wondering if that's connected to the Wei Qi, or the outermost energy field of the body. And this inspired or inspirational type of energy on the inside. And I think I didn't get so much of a question, more of a comment around an observation, which I think is spot on. As we focus more on exhaling and pulling infinitely inward, right, which is a never ending. We can outwardly, there is finite. There's only so far you can stretch before you pull apart. But inwardly, we have an infinite amount of space that we can compress into that actually creates length and buoyancy, right? By lengthening the yang channels and pressing into them, as we come back to a neutral position, the charge and the flow is going to likely be profoundly more open, because the tendency of a normal life where we're not principled in our behavior and in our structural behavior, gravity is pulling down and pushing our energy out, right? It's pulling down and out. So the yang channels are getting pinched. So we're getting cut off from the heavenly flow of energy moving down from the sun, from the sky, through, I'll call it the Faraday cage, right? The outermost, so it gets caught, right? But if we pull ourselves in, we open the outside, and we start to open up the free flow of the yang force energy. As that happens, one, we're going to feel lighter because we're pulled, we're flowing, and we're going to be more nimble. The other part that happens, as you penetrate the yang force down and you're pulling in, you're siphoning up yin energy, which will then create a sense of lightness, right? So we got good, healthy downflow and then good upflow. That's going to create this toroidal magnetic field, electromagnetic field, or reinforce what already is there to help us expand and open that sense of charge. And then really fundamentally, we're actually just taking more control or governance of our capacity to connect heaven and earth, right? Because at times it's not good to maybe flow that much energy. We want to slow it down. And at other times we want to speed it up. You know, different circumstances, we're going to want to have different functionality for our conduction. So, but in general, I would say chaos is the ballooning and anti-tensegrity. Disorder is just blobbing out, and order has a lot to do with that upright sense of tensegrity in the body. And as you have that kind of order, things find their place, things function better, right? We're going to basically feel better and sense better and think better, you know. All right, any other questions? All right, well, keep it up. Tomorrow, we're going to geek more on the hands, right? Hands and the feet, but feet are much harder to control. And part of it is this yin. The hands, again, are the yin and the yang, right? So you got the yang extension and the yin flexion, right? But as you master the hands more, this function of the distal portion, starting to be able to see how much control you have on your inner structure through the distal portions. And as you are able to manipulate your hands more, you be able to really open and create better tension through the system into the spine. And that just increases energy flow dramatically and just functionality, right? So play around with it. I mean, you're on your bike right now, like gripping into your handles more. Notice what that does. Like, just, you can shift your posture and your spinal position a lot just by grabbing a bar harder, which then pulls through the structure and allows you to know where your bones are in space a lot better. So we're going to geek on that some more with regard to the different Dohan postures.
I had a quick question. I have
Sure.
a friend who's pretty good in Qi Gong. Could he join our class tomorrow to see
Who?
how it vibes? A friend, I guess he's done classes with Chris before. This
Sure.
guy at, cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did a class with his teachers, this guy Paul Bloom, I think.
Uh-huh.
And he said something about the thing of the palm as like the skin of a drum and stretching it out, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we can geek on that, right? Pericardium, very much right now. So fire season too, you've got the heart and the small intestine, but maybe even more important as far as structural awareness is pericardium and sanjiao. So the movement of the hands in spiral, from here pulling in and unraveling out. So we'll geek on that some more tomorrow. All right. See you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Excited to catch the recording.
Yeah, yeah.
Later, but it was nice to listen to you while I was biking.
Yeah. Cheers, fellas.